T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition and liftoff.
M1D chamber pressure normal. Pitching downrange.
Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from pad 40 carrying the SES-22 satellite.
Telemetry nominal.
And we have throttled down the engines on stage 1 in preparation for max Q. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle sees, and that should be coming up in about 10 seconds or so.
Supersonic. Max Q.
And great news, the vehicle is now through the highest amount of aerodynamic pressures. So with that, we will have 3 events happening back to back. That will be MECO, stage separation, and SES-1. MECO stands for main engine cutoff, and that's where all 9 of the M1D engines shut down and slow the vehicle down in preparation for the next event, which is stage separation.
And back chill.
And stage separation is exactly what it sounds like. That's where the first and second stage separate from each other. First stage will start to make its way back down to Earth, and again, we will be attempting to land on our drone ship a shortfall of gravitas today. And during that time, stage 2 will continue on its journey with the third event, SES-1, or second stage engine start 1. That's where the single Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage will light up, and it will propel the second stage along with the SES-22 payload to orbit. Now, in addition to these 3 major events, the fairing halves will separate about a minute after SES-1, so keep an eye out for that as well.
MECO. Stage separation. And back ignition.
And some incredible views there on your screen. We were able to see MECO, stage separation, and on your right-hand screen, you could see that MVAC engine beginning to light up and glow, that red color there. First stage on your left-hand screen, those grid fins are deploying. That is what helps guide the vehicle back down to the landing zone. And we do have fairing deploy coming up here in just under 10 seconds.
Separation confirmed.
And there you just saw on your screen fairing deploy, and you can see on your right-hand screen the fairing, one of the fairing halves falling back down to Earth. Really cool view. Again, we will be attempting to recover the fairing halves with our recovery ship, Doug, today.
Acquisition of signal, Bermuda.
And just past T+4 minutes into launch today. In order to complete today's landing of the first stage, it will have a couple more burns to go. The next one will be the entry burn. That's where 3 of the 9 M1D engines reignite. This helps to slow the vehicle down as it's re-entering back into the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere. Entry burn is just under 2 minutes from now. It'll last about 25 seconds or so. And then these last and final burn for the first stage will be the landing burn. That is just a single engine burn. It's the center E9 engine. Lights up just a few seconds before touching down on the landing zone. And these M1D engines have about 190,000 pounds of thrust. So just one single engine reigniting for about 20-30 seconds helps to slow the vehicle down just rapidly enough to touch down on the landing zone. Some really cool views on your screen. Again, on the left-hand side, what you're seeing is a view from the first stage vehicle as it's making its way back down to Earth. Your right-hand screen is a view on the second stage looking at our MVAC engine. We're roughly 30 seconds away from the entry burn on the first stage. Stage 2 is still looking good on a nominal trajectory.
Stage 1, FTS is safe.
Stage 1, entry burn, startup.
And as you can see on your left-hand screen, those 3 M1D engines have reignited for the entry burn. Again, just a short burn helps to slow the vehicle down as it's entering back into the upper parts of the Earth's atmosphere.
Stage 1, entry burn, shutdown.
And as you see, those engines have now shut down. That concludes the entry burn. Again, next up for the first stage will be the landing burn. And the entry burn...
Both vehicles are on nominal trajectories.
Great call outs, nominal trajectories for both vehicles. Now the entry burn does help slow the vehicle down as it enters back into the Earth's atmosphere, but the atmosphere actually helps to scrub most of the velocity on the first stage. So that's why we can let it coast until we get closer to landing, and then we'll ignite that last engine for the touchdown just a few seconds before landing.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
And we're just about 30 seconds away from the landing burn on the first stage, but we will have a couple events happening back to back. First will be
transonic.
First will be SECO 1, that is second stage engine cutoff 1 for the MVAC engine on that second stage.
FTS is safe.
Just a few seconds after SECO 1 will be the landing burn beginning.
Stage 1, landing burn, startup.
MVAC shutdown.
There we had both of those events, SECO 1 and the landing burn beginning on the first stage. Again, attempting to land on
orbit insertion.
A shortfall of gravitas. And confirmation of good orbit on the second stage.
Stage 1, landing leg, deploy.
Expected loss of signal, Cape.
Stage 1, landing is confirmed.
And what an incredible view. As you can see, Falcon 9 has touched down on our drone ship, a shortfall of gravitas. This landing marks the second successful landing for this particular booster, having supported previously the Starlink launch in May. It also marks our 127th overall successful recovery of an orbital class rocket, including both Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy first stages. And we also did have confirmation of good orbit on the second stage. So with successful second stage engine cutoff and first stage landing, we are going to be in a coast phase until just before the second relight of our MVAC engine on the second stage, which will be followed by payload deploy. So sit tight and we'll see you back here just around the T+26 minute mark. Welcome back to the live webcast for the SES-22 mission. If you're just joining us, liftoff occurred at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Time from Launch Pad 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Now, post-liftoff, we also had a successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, ignition and shutdown of the second stage, fairing deploy, and first stage landing. Now, coming up shortly, we will relight and shut down the second stage engine one more time before payload deploy. That is coming up here in just a few seconds. Again, this burn will be about a minute long.
MVAC startup.
And an awesome view of that MVAC engine reigniting. This burn will last a little over a minute. And as a reminder, SES-22 will deliver TV and radio services in addition to key data transmission services to millions of Americans across the U.S. This MVAC engine has a thrust of about 220,000 pounds of thrust. And reigniting the engine helps take the stage closer to its drop-off orbit. So we'll reignite it and then shut it down and allow the second stage to coast for a bit until it gets to its targeted drop-off orbit.
MVAC shutdown.
There we heard that call out and saw a little bit of the MVAC engine shutting down. We are waiting for confirmation.
Nominal orbit insertion.
That's exactly what we were waiting for, confirmation of good orbit. So with confirmation of a successful second stage engine start and cutoff, we're going to take another quick short break, sit back and enjoy the space tunes, and we'll join you live to cover payload deployment in about 4 minutes from now. Welcome back to the SES-22 launch webcast. We've had a successful mission so far, liftoff at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Time, successful landing of our first stage, and 2 relight and shutdowns of our second stage engine. Now we're coming up on our last major milestone, which of course is payload deploy. And that should be coming up here in just a few seconds.
Payload separation confirmed.
You are watching the SES-22 satellite drifting away from Falcon 9's second stage. And that confirms payload deploy. So with successful deployment of the SES-22 satellite, that will bring our webcast to a close. We want to thank SES for entrusting us with today's mission and all of you for joining us. If this launch got you excited about space and you're interested in joining our team, check out spacex.com/careers to check out our open positions. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.